How's it going, Dexter fans? If you're anything like us, you're probably still recovering from that wild finale of Dexter New Blood. But guess what? The story isn't over yet. Yup, Dexter Resurrection is officially happening, and it's coming in hot. So if you need a quick refresher to get you back in the mood for murder, Dexter-style of course, you've landed on the right video. Grab a seat because we're about to dive headfirst into everything you need to know before this next bloody chapter kicks off. Before we get too far into things though, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Legacies of the Bay Harbor Butcher. Dexter Morgan wasn't your regular television anti-hero. He was a far more tragic, nuanced, and creepily charismatic monster. From the very first episode, audiences fell in love with this blood spatter analyst with a sinister secret. Unlike other anti-heroes and crime drama protagonists who bend rules or cross moral lines, Dexter didn't just bend these lines, he crossed all of them. He didn't murder out of vengeance or for fun. No, Dexter killed in accordance with a code, one he hadn't created on his own. It was designed by his foster father, Harry Morgan, a Miami Metro police officer who knew from an early age that Dexter was different from other children. Alright, so quick backstory for anyone who forgot. When Dexter was just a baby, he actually witnessed his mom being brutally murdered with a chainsaw. Yeah, it was as horrifying as it sounds. He was left sitting in a pool of her blood for 2 whole days before someone found him. That messed him up for life and basically flipped a switch inside him, giving him this uncontrollable urge to kill. Now, instead of the system stepping in to help, his foster dad, Harry, decided to handle things his own way. He trained Dexter to channel those dark urges into something somewhat noble. Basically, he taught Dexter to only go after bad guys, murderers who slipped through the cracks of the justice system. And this whole set of rules, known as Harry's Code, became Dexter's personal guide for survival. Season 1 lays the foundation for this twisted morality. Dexter leads a dual existence, charming, clever, and cooperatively deferential during the day, and remorseless, precise murderer after hours. He serves on the Miami Metro PD with his adopted sibling, Deborah Morgan, who wants to become a detective. Dexter begins dating Rita, an equally sweet and kind woman who's emotionally scarred and rebuilding her life after leaving an abusive marriage. Their relationship is more of a facade for Dexter than a real one, at least initially. Dexter channels his bloodlust by stalking murderers who slip through the cracks of the legal system. The accuracy of his protocol is bone-chilling. Track, hunt, execute, and mount a blood sample slide as a kill shot trophy. Season 1 completely shifts gears when the ice truck killer comes onto the scene. This isn't just another foe, this case seems personal. This murderer leaves clues at the murder scene that are only understandable to Dexter. As the layers get peeled back, we discover that the ice truck killer is in fact Brian Moser, Dexter's long-lost biological brother. Unlike Dexter, Brian wasn't adopted after witnessing their mother's murder, but was placed in an institution. Brian does want to reconnect, going so far as to invite Dexter to kill with him, but here's a twist. He wants them to kill Deborah together. Dexter becomes increasingly conflicted as he chooses between blood and the code. Ultimately, he allows himself to be swayed by the code and murders Brian, establishing the precedent for every inner struggle to follow. Season 2 further explores Dexter's spiraling as his secret life begins to come to light. The Bay Harbor Butcher investigation starts, an ironic development as Dexter himself is the murderer being pursued. His carefulness is put to the test, and Sergeant Dokes, who has never trusted him, starts following him around with a vengeance. When Dokes finds Dexter's blood slide collection, the race to catch him escalates. Eventually, Dexter captures Dokes and locks him in a remote cabin, debating what to do with him. Enter Lila, Dexter's new and thoroughly dysfunctional fire starter of a crush, who torches the cabin and Dokes contained within. Dexter may not have killed Dokes himself, but he is directly and unequivocally complicit. Meanwhile, Season 2 makes clear the moral ambiguity of Dexter's code and the collateral damage caused by his code. Season 3 does have a quieter, more contemplative feel. As he lays the groundwork for what's to come, Dexter discovers his most unexpected ally in Assistant DA Miguel Prado. Initially, Miguel seems to be a person who's on the same page as Dexter's code and his desire for justice. In doing so, they deepen their bond over secrets and lies, and Dexter even begins to think about letting Miguel in on his secret truth. When Miguel starts using Dexter's trust to indulge his own vigilante justice, violating the code and enjoying sadistic pleasure in the kill, Dexter understands he's making a monster. Their friendship culminates in a harrowing final showdown, and Dexter walks away with a bloody epiphany. Trust is deadly. This season is more about Dexter's inability to connect than it is about his ability to kill. As it stands, Season 4 is considered to be the series' magnum opus. Dexter is happily married to Rita, the single mother he fell for in Season 3, and has 2 teenage stepchildren and a newborn son, Harrison. On the surface, he's been sailing through family life and his traditional extracurriculars with astounding success. Arthur Mitchell, the Trinity Killer, brilliantly realized on-screen by John Lithgow, is a model citizen of Dawson's Creek with a secret, a murderous, religiously driven killing spree. The Trinity Killer is an all-American, wholesome-seeming guy with a sickly, ritualistic killing cycle. Dexter quickly becomes obsessed, not just with apprehending him, but with understanding how Trinity manages to keep a life and a secret life. What he finds is all the more terrifying. It's not enough to make Trinity abusive, manipulative, and monstrous, yet Dexter wavers until it's too late. After finally killing Trinity, Dexter comes home to find Rita murdered in the bathtub, their baby girl left crying amid a pool of her mother's blood. The scene reflects Dexter's own childhood trauma, and everything breaks. Season 4's finale is a gut punch and the start of Dexter's psychological tailspin.
No, don't.
In Season 5, Dexter's on a path of redemption, or at least trying to find some purpose after Rita's death. Along the way, he encounters Lumen Pierce, a woman on the run from a murderous gang that had sex trafficked and tortured her. She's in it for the revenge, and Dexter, touched by her pain, comes to her rescue. This is the first time Dexter meets someone who really gets the evil that lurks deep inside him. Using their unique skills, they plan to take out the men who wronged her together. When the mission is over, Lumen's darkness disappears. As she departs, it's further cemented that Dexter is fated to walk alone. Season 6 of Dexter makes a concerted effort to redirect the series' focus back towards its original thematic concerns, yet fails miserably to do so. The principal antagonist is the Doomsday Killer, a religious extremist with end-of-the-world hallucinations. The premise is incredible, but the twist, that one killer is hallucinating the other, seems like something we've already seen before. The last scene is truly the seismic moment. Deborah, recently promoted to lieutenant and head over heels in love with Dexter, though he doesn't know it yet, bursts in on him while he's killing. Her initial reaction is horror, and the revelation destroys her world. While the season as a whole is questionable at best, that moment elevates the entire thing. Season 7, meanwhile, is entirely about the fallout. As Deb continues to fight for her brother's humanity while accepting him now that he's a murderer, she's faced with both ethical and personal questions. So she protects him, and this fact is ripping her to shreds. Dexter soon crosses paths with a new character, Hannah McKay, a convicted poisoner who possesses a wicked charm that captivates Dexter. As the two quickly fall in love, Dexter, for the first time, begins to feel understood. Their romance is toxic, though, in every sense of the word. Meanwhile, La Guerta, Dexter's boss, superbly played by Lauren Velez, reopens the Bay Harbor Butcher case, becoming ever more convinced that Dokes was wrongfully accused. Just as the news tightens, Dexter gets ready to deliver the killing blow. It's Deb who ultimately pulls the trigger, though, choosing Dexter over her own moral compass. That act breaks something in her, and it's the moment the Morgans can never come back from.
Help me, please! I was abducted by the man who was...
Season 8 is controversial. It introduces us to Dr. Evelyn Vogel, a neuropsychiatrist who asserts that she was instrumental in helping Harry formulate the code. For her, Dexter was the ultimate evolution of that experiment, a purposeful psychopath. Though Vogel becomes a kind of surrogate mother, she doesn't stay around long. The primary villain of this season is the brain surgeon, a serial murderer who carves out pieces of his victim's cerebral cortex. The narrative drags and the storytelling suffers in this season. Deb plunges headfirst into her addiction and guilt. Dexter intends to move away from Miami with Hannah and Harrison to start new lives, at least until fate steps in. Deb is shot, put on life support, and eventually, after deteriorating health, has a stroke that renders her brain dead. In a truly heart-wrenching scene, Dexter unplugs her ventilator, wraps her body in plastic, and buries her at sea. As for the actual series finale, it was indeed polarizing. Rather than sail away with Hannah, Dexter sails his boat into a hurricane. He lives but pretends to be dead. The final image finds him a lumberjack in Oregon, bearded and heartbreakingly empty-eyed. It was a demoralizing conclusion for many fans. Dexter, the once razor-sharp anti-hero, drifted off into obscurity without resolution, but the ambiguity left the door open. Lo and behold, years later, that door flew open a second time. Showtime brought Dexter back, but not for some peaceful happily ever after. Nah, he's still the same haunted, messed up guy, running from everything he tried to bury. His story wasn't done, not even close.
Him here. keep me from killing again.
Dexter New Blood, the revival we didn't know we needed. Almost a literal decade after Dexter Morgan disappeared into a storm on a midnight run, the world thinking him dead, Showtime surprised fans with the resurrection they were never even aware they needed. Cue Dexter New Blood, a new 10-part follow-up reboot focused, like the original, on the icy, isolated community surrounding the title character's adopted home of Iron Lake, New York. Dexter now lives under the quiet alias Jim Lindsay. For the most part, he's kept his dark passenger suppressed for almost 10 years, flying under the radar in a town small enough to disappear in, but inquisitive enough to eventually raise hell. No more blood slides, no more kill rooms, just firewood, local wildlife, and the more frequent than you might think flirtation with normalcy. He makes a living running a sporting goods store, Fred's Fish and Game, outfitting the good people of the town for hunting, and he's romantically involved with Angela Bishop, the local sheriff. On the surface, he's living the dream: tranquility, anonymity, and a life far removed from the carnage that once consumed him. Dexter, though, is still Dexter after all. The monster never dies, it just slumbers. That piece is beginning to crack when Matt Caldwell, a charismatic but reckless rich brat, arrives on the scene. When Matt illegally snipes a white buck that's sacred to the resident Seneca community, Dexter manages to self-moderate. The action, along with Matt's hubris and previous murderous ways, unlocks a trigger deep inside Dexter. When Dexter discovers Matt caused a boating accident that killed several innocent people years ago and walked free, the verdict is in. Dexter finally makes his first kill in more than a decade, ritualistically disposing of Matt's body. It's messy, he slips up. It's not the same clean precision of the Bay Harbor Butcher, and the act sets off a chain of events that spins wildly out of control. Soon after, Harrison, now a brooding, emotionally scarred teenager, arrives in Iron Lake, seeking the father who once abandoned him. Harrison's presence is the equivalent of a match to gasoline. He comes armed with deep questions, a sense of alienation and resentment, and a smoldering desire to learn just what happened to Dexter that led him to disappear. Dexter, reeling and at a loss for how to deal with the unexpected reunion, attempts to be a father, a good one this time. He even considers confessing, yet the further he attempts to immerse himself in fatherhood, the muddier the scene becomes. Harrison is more than a lost kid. He has his own demons to contend with. There are clues to a hereditary or emotional dark passenger, his blood fetish, his murderous rage, his gift for deception. Dexter starts to envision a life lived through his son's eyes and hopes that he can instill the code so Harrison won't be doomed to a life like Dexter's where they lose control of their path. All the while, Angela, as always a hard-nosed officer of the law and devoted girlfriend, grows more and more dubious. When Matt's suspicious disappearance comes to the media's attention and peculiar evidence is found, Angela is led to connect the dots. It especially doesn't help that a true crime podcaster named Molly Park blows through town and shakes things up, digging deeper into the unsolved cases from the Miami days. Before you know it, Angela discovers Dexter's real secret. He's the Bay Harbor Butcher. It's a ticking time bomb. But the real horror of Iron Lake lies not just with Dexter. Kurt Caldwell, Matt's father, initially seems like a grieving dad, but is soon revealed to be a monster in his own right. He has a gruesome ritual, abducting vulnerable young women, housing them like pets in underground bunkers, killing them, embalming them, and preserving them like dolls in his private trophy museum. He's a predator hiding behind a smiling small-town mask. Dexter realizes that to protect Harrison and Iron Lake, Kurt must be stopped. This hunt becomes deeply personal, a mirror match of two serial killers with very different motives and styles. Dexter eventually lures Kurt into a trap and performs his classic ritualistic kill, plastic wrap, knives, and all. Harrison watches, horrified yet fascinated. For the first time, Dexter is fully exposed. He believes he and Harrison can bond through this shared darkness, finally uniting as father and son under the code. But Harrison doesn't share his father's rationalizations. To him, it's not noble, it's terrifying. Just when Dexter thinks things might calm down, everything explodes. In an attempt to flee, Dexter accidentally kills Logan, a local police officer and one of Harrison's few friends. This is the moment the illusion shatters completely. Logan was an innocent. He wasn't a killer or a criminal. He didn't deserve to die. Dexter crossed a line that even his own code wouldn't allow. There's no justification, no righteous excuse. Harrison confronts Dexter in the woods, gun in hand, shaking with anger, betrayal, and confusion. The scene is heartbreaking. Dexter finally admits that he's broken, that the code was never enough to protect those he loved. He sees the destruction left in his wake. Rita, Deborah, LaGuerta, Dokes, and now Logan. In that painful moment of clarity, Dexter does the unthinkable. He tells Harrison it's okay, that he needs to end it, that the cycle must stop with him. And so it does. Harrison pulls the trigger. Dexter falls to the snowy ground, finally at peace, perhaps for the first time in his life. Angela finds Harrison shortly after and, in a quiet act of mercy and understanding, lets him go. She covers up the killing, telling the authorities that Dexter was killed during a police pursuit. The final moments of New Blood are haunting. Harrison drives off alone, a duffel bag full of memories and a head full of trauma, unsure of where he's headed next. But one thing is certain, he's no longer just Dexter's son, he's a young man carrying the weight of a legacy soaked in blood. The series closes on an ambiguous note. Was this closure? Did Dexter truly find redemption in his death? Can Harrison escape the shadow of his father, or will he be haunted forever by the same dark urges? The snow-covered woods of Iron Lake fade to black, but the questions linger. In true Dexter fashion, the story leaves us with more questions than answers, and a lingering chill that maybe, just maybe, the monster isn't gone for good. Resurrection vibes. Who's coming back from the dead? Now, Showtime has recently announced Dexter Resurrection, and fans are freaking out. How can this be? Dexter's dead, right? Well, things aren't that simple in this universe. Michael C. Hall is confirmed to return, meaning we're not just getting flashbacks. Whether he'll be a figment of Harrison's conscience, a memory, or something more mysterious, Dexter isn't done yet. The show is expected to continue from the aftermath of New Blood. That puts Harrison in the spotlight. He's on the run, haunted by what he did and trying to find his own moral compass. Will he create a new code? Will he spiral like his father? That's where things get juicy. Angela, who let him go, could easily become his new pursuer. Her love for Dexter was real, but so was her commitment to justice. We might also see some more inner monologue appearances like Deb, Harry, and even Trinity did in earlier seasons. Dexter could return in Harrison's head as his ghost guide, coaching or even tormenting him. That's the Dexter twist we know and love, literal demons haunting from within. Mind-blowing theories. Okay, let's crank the speculation knob all the way up and off into the fan-fueled expressway of Dexter. There are no shortage of wild ideas bouncing around the Dexterverse. First of all, and probably at the top of the list, is undoubtedly the scariest possibility. What if Dexter didn't actually die in New Blood? Yeah, we watched him take that fatal shot from Harrison, blood spilling in the snow, and the apparent closure in the moment. But really, this is Dexter Morgan we're talking about. There's talk online that maybe, just maybe, Dexter was fitted with a bulletproof vest. Or perhaps Angela, in an unprecedented turn of compassion, helped fake his death to free him again. We've seen him survive a hurricane and disappear off the map. Is faking a shooting really that hard for him? But here's where it gets really juicy. The fact that Michael C. Hall is returning. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Dexter is alive, flesh and blood. He could very well be in some ghostly form, or a hallucination, or a twisted conscience living in the mind of Harrison, just as Harry and Deb did for Dexter. But if anything can be gleaned from this show, it's that you just never know what to expect. Even Hall's return raises 100 questions from fans. That brings us to Harrison, the little kid. Probably one of the more prevalent theories surrounding Harrison is that he would create his own version of the code. Not Harry's strict guidelines, mind you, more like something looser, rougher, maybe darker. He's a Gen Z vigilante in a world of surveillance cameras, Reddit sleuths, and true crime TikToks. His brand of justice might look less like Dexter's clean kill rooms and more like viral takedowns or mindless chaotic brutality. Some fans have coined it Code 2.0. He's angry, raw, and not exactly an emotionally stable personality, which could spell trouble if given the chance to start interpreting the rules in his own way. And then there's the potential return of some familiar faces. One such theory involves characters from Dexter's past who may suddenly turn up in a big game-changing twist. Angel Batista, who was piecing things together in New Blood, might play an even bigger role moving forward. Is someone going to come after Harrison now? Maybe that mystery guy from the end who almost went after Dexter himself, or even Quinn, who always had this weird gut feeling and left a bunch of loose ends behind. And let's not forget about Astor and Cody. Remember Rita's kids? They just disappeared from the story after a while, but if they showed up again, older and probably a lot angrier, it could seriously mess with Harrison's world. Also, remember Hannah McKay, Dexter's old girlfriend and the one who took care of Harrison for a bit? Word is, she died off-screen in Argentina, but let's be real, off-screen deaths in shows like this usually don't stick. If she's still alive and makes a comeback, that would be huge. Imagine her finding out Harrison killed Dexter, or even worse, what if she's back to finish what Dexter started, or to stop Harrison from turning into something worse? Point is, Dexter Resurrection isn't just starting a new chapter, it's digging up old ones too. The fan theories are going wild, and if even half of them turn out to be true, this is gonna be a crazy ride. So, what is Original Sin, and do we need to watch it? Another thing happening in the Dexter universe is Dexter Original Sin. It's a prequel, not a sequel. This one's all about young Dexter, his first kills, how Harry trained him, and when he first started dealing with those messed up urges. Sounds pretty awesome to us, but do you need to watch this before Resurrection drops? No, it's a completely separate thing. If you're into origin stories or want to see how the code came together, it's worth checking out, but it's not required viewing before the new series kicks off. Marvelous verdict. Now, where does that leave us? Surely the legacy of Dexter isn't dead. New Blood offered us emotional closure and an initial passing of the torch. Now, Resurrection promises to take that torch and run ever deeper and darker with it. Whether it be Dexter haunting Harrison, Harrison as the pursuer, or altogether something different for the Morgan bloodline, one thing we know for certain, the Dark Passenger is still on board. So, sharpen your scalpels, hide your plastic wrap, and hit subscribe. This has been your one-stop Dexter recap. Until Resurrection hits, keep your code clean, your secrets tight, and stay out of Iron Lake. That's all we got for you this time, but if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.